My name's Blair Dean, and we're adding sound. I'm telling who these different pictures are on this CD. The way we've got the CD put together is years ago, Jay had a 8mm camera, and then I also bought a movie camera. Mine was a Super 8, but I took all the movies into Inkley's and had them put on a big video. They were spliced together, but at that time they had lost some of their clarity, some of the coloring, and the quality of them. But they've been sitting in my drawer, and they may have even lost some quality since I put them on the video. But with new technology as it is, Terry's been able to transfer everything onto a DVD. Now these videos, you have to remember, back then all they did was take pictures. They didn't have any sound to them until a few years later, and that's why I'm doing this right now, so that those that are watching will know who they're watching. So we'll get started. This first part is in Flagstaff, Arizona. Jay and his wife Lena and I and the kids went down to the reservation, and then we went over to Flagstaff, and this was one of the celebrations down there. I don't know what celebration it was, but it was a fun time right there in Flagstaff. But it shows your typical things through a parade, your marching bands, and then different Indian groups, since the area is so heavily populated with Indian tribes. Now this area is down in Denaholt, where Lena came from, and I think those were her mother's sheep. There's a picture of Eileen, Lena's sister, and her mother, Mrs. Tinhorn, and the sheep in the background. Now the little boy that you see running around, that's Shane Dean, Jay's son. I'm pretty sure it is. Hope I'm not making a mistake. It looks like it is. He's hanging out with Jay right there. There's Jay on the right and his wife Lena on the left. Now the girl I mentioned earlier, standing with her mom, I'm pretty sure it might have been Lena. I'm getting mixed up, because there's Eileen right there. She had the umbrella, and she was a younger girl than the one standing next to her mom. So the one next to her mom must have been Lena, and her mom, Mrs. Tinhorn. And then this is Eileen's sister with the umbrella. And there's Connie. This is at my mom and dad's house, Sherman and Ruby Dean. And at this time, the house was being remodeled. Dad was working on the outside, getting things ready for siding. And it's quite dark right now. But there's Connie in her stroller down in the shade, so you can't see her very good. That's what the back of the house looked like before we put the siding on, and before we put the awning, the patio awning up. And there's movement behind the bush. Must be Connie again. We had a lot of fun with Connie as she was growing up. She was a really cute baby. There's Jay and Dad. And I don't know if that's me, Blair, or not. I don't know if that's me or not. I can't tell good enough. But it looks like Jay's up there helping Dad with the trim. That's Lena right there.
Is that at their house?
That's at, oh, I'd have to look again. I didn't get a good,
I think it'll show the yard here in a few minutes.
I'm not sure where that is. I don't recognize that. That's not their house because they didn't have a carport. That could have been down in Arizona. Now there's Mom, and I think we were on a trip down in Arizona at this time. Yes, there's some, just outside of Flagstaff is, I think it's Montezuma's Lake, or anyway, these are some cliff dwellings, and it's a state park down there. Very, very, very interesting. Now that bridge right there is Glen Canyon Dam, and that's just outside of Page, Arizona. That's the Manti Temple down in Manti, Utah. I think we took that when we went on a little vacation down to Arizona. It was probably while Jay was on his mission. We went down there twice and saw Jay. The first time we went to Kayenta, Arizona, and the next time Danahozo. And we went with my dad's brother, Uncle Bill, and Verla. And then our whole family. Now there's Connie again, and Smokey. Smokey was a nice little dog that we thoroughly enjoyed growing up. That's a pretty good shot of Connie right there. And she's still jumping around at 40 some years old. And there's Smokey again. She was a, I believe, a rat terrier. Okay, there's my dad in his painter overalls. He must have been doing some work, and he's coming through the gate we had there. Jane Lena's over visiting, and we always had a good time. It seems like this is awfully shaded. Oops, Dad's a quick change artist because he's there in a suit now with, oh, Connie's a little bit older now. She's running around. Look at her go. And Mom, she's always enjoying the grandkids. That's the back of our house before they started working on it. In the background, it looks like Jay. There's Dad. Mom was in the picture. Our clothesline pole there. Dad's trying to get her to hold her own weight. Mom and Dad really enjoyed those grandkids. It looks like this must be a Sunday because Jay's in a white shirt with a tie, and there's Marlene having fun with Connie. And was that Brent that struck out at... it's awful hard to see the small pictures and see just who was there. There's Lena. Dad really had a good time with her. He'd always give her a squeeze and she'd squeeze him. They loved each other. And there's Brent. And Lena always fit in good with the family, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, there's Jay, and I mentioned earlier he had a white tie on the shirt, but that must have been Brent. But there's Jay, and that's Lloyd next to Jay. Yeah, that was Brent in the white tie, so we corrected that mistake. That was Mrs. Holt. She was a neighbor across the fence there, right next door. And she was a nice little lady, and she loved to see the little kids and play with them, look through the bushes and just have fun with them. Now that's Leon right there. My cousin. That's Leon Plocker. And that's Pepper Plocker. Richard's wife, I believe. Leon, he was pretty good at doing flips, and he was really a fast runner. He probably didn't realize he shouldn't be doing those flips with cowboy boots on. But he did pretty good. Now that's Mrs. Blocker, my Uncle Albert's mother. And she was German through and through. I think she was born over in Russia, but she's a German heritage. And then they moved to South Dakota, I believe. And that's up in Idaho at my Uncle Albert and Aunt Leela's house, and they're doing the same type of work there that my dad was doing on our home. And there's a Malamute that Jay used to own. Nice dog, pretty dog. And again, that's Pepper Plucker. Those kids, I'm not sure who those kids are. I think they might be Leon's. I don't know who they are. In the background, in the carpenter overalls, that was Uncle Albert. That's Uncle Albert again, getting ready to put siding on around his house. He was a hard-working guy. He was a farmer and a carpenter and a mechanic and welder, and he could do about anything. The one doing the filming on this is Jay Dean, and he used to go up to Rupert quite often and take and work with Albert and take a lot of different pictures. I think that's Leon driving the tractor. Leela always had a nice sized garden out in front of her house, and he's preparing the ground for the garden that year. I believe that little boy that's running around, I believe that might be Gary Plucker. That's Leon just having a little bit of fun out with the football. Now that looks like that's at my mom and dad's house. That's Uncle Albert and Leela on the left, and my mom on the right, Ruby Dean. And they would always come down, and usually a couple of times a year, and we'd have a good time playing with our cousins and visiting with them. We were a real close family. They must be getting ready to go on the routine shopping. That's Smokey right there, sniffing around. It looks like a little bit of snow on the ground. She was probably about 16 years old when she died. Now there's Ken and June Moss and my brother Kenneth Dean. And they started going together when they were teenagers, and they married, and they had 3 children, Kelly Dean and Cindy Dean and Tracy Dean. And then later, when they moved to California, they divorced. But they were a very cute couple. The family loved her. Look at the styles back then of dresses. And there's my mom, Ruby Dean. And that was Brent, Jay on the left, Brent, Blair and Brent dancing around together. Ken and June. And there's Marlene Dean. And Ken's holding Marlene right there. Looks like he had fun teasing with Marlene. Now we're at the Salt Lake City Zoo, and we're doing this for the camera's sake. Sun's getting in your eyes, huh, Marlene? Mom's only girl. There's a monkey. Now there's June and Kelly, her son, to the left. In the middle is Cindy, and the little girl is Tracy. And they all live in California now. They're a nice bunch of kids. We really had fun with them, and thought a lot of them. Still do. There you go, June. Do a chin up. Hey, Kelly. That's neat. Good job. Okay, there you go, Tracy. Show us what you've got. There you go. You made it right to the top. Okay, your turn, Cindy. Come on, pull up. Pull. Well, that was a good effort. They were cute kids. June always had them dressed looking really nice. Very pretty kids. Even Kelly, I'll still call him pretty. There's my mom. And my dad in the background. And that's Kelly and Mom. Cindy and Tracy, and I'm sure June's in there someplace. There she is. And I think I'm taking the video on this one. See, I'm calling it a video, but it was just a movie film. Videos came along later. This is still down in Arizona on one of our trips down there. Just where at, I don't know for sure. This is Uncle Bill and Dad on one of our trips down to Arizona. cactus, and Dad's going to stick his finger in one of the grooves to show how deep it is as deep as what his finger was. And I believe we took this part of the movie when Mom and I and Dad went down to see Marlene and Gary in Arizona. And this was the temple grounds down in Arizona. Marlene and Gary were living down there. That's an orange tree right there. The temple grounds of Tucson, Arizona Temple. Now that's not a swimming pool, it's just a fountain there. But I'm sure it's tempted a lot of people. There's Mom picking an orange. Now this is Connie and her mom Lena. And I believe her brother Henry was there also. Connie's trying to walk in her mom's high heels. There's Lena. A lot of things that are shown on the wall, I'm not sure. Indian corn right there. Some arrows that Jay made. He had his apartment decorated with a lot of Indian stuff. There was a kachina built there. Jay made that headdress. And once again, I think that's Henry, Lena's brother. It looks like a pouch that Jay made out of leather. Might be decorated. Okay, that's Lena's mother making a Navajo blanket, and Jay built the loom for her and had it right in his apartment so that when she was there visiting, she could work on a project. That's Connie, and they put her in her Indian dress and put the fork in her hand and had her do like her grandmother does. And I don't think she was even 3 years old right there. And she's there mimicking what she saw her grandmother do. But she's in her Navajo costume. See that? And that's just how her grandmother would do. She'd thread the colored wool through the rug and then tamp it down with the fork. Once again, it's kind of hard to see just who's getting thrown around or who's doing the throwing.
Is that done in Salem?
Oh, that looks like that's at the Jackman reunion down at the Salem Pond in Salem. Yeah, that's what this is. There's Paul Dean, my cousin, in the white shirt, and my mom, and that's Connie. It looks like there's Jay and Lena. Let's see if we can catch anybody else in here. Cousin Paul again. Don't know who that is. It's too bad it's so dark. That looks like Uncle Bill, but I'm not sure. There's my dad mixing up a drink for the everybody's use. There. That looked like Uncle Ob in the background. That could be Uncle Perry. There's just so much darkness here. It's hard to tell. That's my family. I can tell my mom and dad on the left. That's the trouble with these old movies. They get dark and old and faded. But I'm sure some of it was because of the inexperienced photographer. That was one of the ladies' dogs at the reunion. She was showing what he could do, and that's Lena again. Now that looks like, I think Casey. There's Connie and Casey. I'm going to call him Casey right now, and we may see Shane in a minute. There's a slight chance that could be Shane. That's in their backyard. when they lived in Brigham City. There's Connie practicing her twirling. What do they call that?
Baton.
Baton. Hey, she got pretty good. She's really good at doing flips and back bends and stuff like that also. I think she was right around 7 or 8 there. Now there's Jay and Shane on the right, and he's holding Casey. Now here's Shane helping his dad out in the garden. Jay used to really plant a wonderful garden. He had radishes and carrots and squash and all kinds of different things. I'm not sure what that is that Shane's holding, but it looks like it's something from the garden that they picked. Now this was one Christmas. I went around and had each individual show what they got for Christmas, and Marlene showed that blouse that sweater she's got on. And again, it's too bad it didn't have sound, so we know what she's showing us. But I'm sure some of it's perfume and probably pajamas and different things like that. Now my brother Ken sent those items right there, that bathrobe from Guam. Now she also has a fall. That's why her hair was short, then all of a sudden long. And there's Lloyd. She's got a shirt. Notice the pictures in the background behind the tree. It's a picture of Jay, and I'm in the picture there. The lower one. Jay's up above. Can't tell for sure just to the right. I think it's Ken and June, and she's got a wedding dress maybe. Looks like Lloyd should have went into modeling. Well, that's the fastest I've seen Lloyd move for a long time. Now there's yours truly, Blair Dean, right there with the glasses on. I'm wearing that bathrobe that Ken sent us. He was in the Navy in Guam, and he sent us all the same, something similar. This was inside the house when it was old, before it was remodeled. Now there's my dad in the background behind me. There he is, and he's put on my sister's fall. And he's pretending to be a little old lady going around stealing things, putting them in his jacket as we are doing the filming. And we go over and show that he wasn't fooling anybody. There he is. He was having fun with us. Now it's his turn. He gets to show what he's got for Christmas. That was a vacuum. And he had that jacket for years. I remember that for years. I'm sure he had it clear up to the time he died. Got a variety of shirts. There's my dad again, outside of our house. Most of those shingles got broke as we were playing catch, and one of us would miss the ball. It would hit those shingles and they'd break off. Now those shingles are outlawed because they're asbestos shingles.
How old do you think he was there? Probably.
I think Dad was probably right around 60 right there. About the age I am right now. Now there's Jay lifting some of the weights, homemade weights. It's a couple of 5-gallon buckets partially filled with cement and a bar put in it. Now there's Jay on horseback riding his horse Babe. Or no, that's Brent. Brent riding Jay's horse Babe. And there's Jay lifting those weights again. It looks like there's a double exposure on this film. There's Jay lifting, I think that was 80 or 100 pound weight, and he lifted, I think it was a 100 pound weight. He lifted it up with one hand. Our good dog Smokey. Now Smokey's jumping through a hula hoop. Come on, jump. Maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like she's looking up on the roof there at something up there. And that dog that was there, that German Shepherd, his name was Bud, and he was out on the property where we used to keep our horses. And that was Jay riding his horse. That little horse was my first horse, Pee Wee, and it was a little Mustang from out in Skull Valley. We're out at 8 Mile Springs. Well, let's see. No, that's Jay's colt. That's Jay's mare had a colt, and that's the colt. So I gave you some misinformation. This is Jay's colt. I don't know what we named it, and his horse Babe. And that colt was born when Jay was on his mission. And this is my horse, Pee Wee, and that's me with it out in the field there. And she was a nice little horse. She was a little Mustang from 8 Mile Springs. This was filmed out at 21st South and Redwood Road, right where the freeway goes right now. And as we rode, the colt would chase along with us. But that looks like that's Jay's colt right there. But they all did the same, both at Jay's colt and mine when it was younger. It would chase around the field with us as we rode. We got excited about that and thought that was a lot of fun. Sometimes we would hook a rope to the saddle and then to a sleigh in the wintertime, and one of us would lay on the sleigh and the horse would pull us with the rider through the field. Now the one with the white face was my horse, and the one with the star was Jay's horse. That colt picking up the reins and shaking it.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad these pictures are so dark. Now Jay, that was Jay, and the way I could tell is because how he throws himself up on the horse without using the stirrups. He's pretty agile that way. I tried it, but I couldn't jump higher than 2 inches. Now that's Archie Hardman, and this is right after he got the colt from out at 8 Mile Spring, and this was the first time I saw this little colt out of Archie's. He's got a little mark across its nose where it hit a barbed wire fence and did a somersault into the corral. This colt was 3 months old right there. And that was probably one of his horses out in the pasture there. Once again, Archie right there, and I'm with him right there with the colt. I bought the colt for $65. I was working for Harmon's Cafe then, up in Sugar House. I was making $1 an hour, and washing dishes and cooking chicken. I think I was a sophomore in high school when I bought her. showing some of the scenic beauty over in Hawaii when I took a trip over in Hawaii. They had some beautiful flowers over there, and I focused in on some of them. Looks like they faded. Now this is from the airplane, probably as we were coming into Hawaii. Now after I was in Hawaii, I did take a couple of trips to some of the other Hawaiian islands there. Went to Maui and Hawaii and Oahu and Kauai. So this was probably, one of the, it wasn't, I don't think it was the major flight into Hawaii, but I think it was one of those other little trips. Now this is out in the pineapple field, showing how they harvest the pineapples. And the pineapples, they are a very prickly ends on those leaves that are coming up, and kind of like the yucca plants. So they have a lot of clothes on and gloves so that they don't get hurt. That's a conveyor belt that hauls them up into the back of the truck, but they go along picking all the pineapples. This is one of the little streets. I believe this was right on the big island of Hawaii. And this was back in 1973. Some of the beautiful falls that are there. I hooked up with my first accordion teacher, Johnny Hikiau, and he took me on a tour around around Oahu. And that's when most of these pictures were taken. Now this is over on Kauai, and those guys, they were getting a squid that was down in the ocean. You'd walk past and they would squirt at you, and what they squirt was ink. That's Polynesian Cultural Center for those that can't read. That was a fun area of the island. And at this time I was staying with Cornell Thomas and his wife Beverly, which are relatives of Jean Green, a daughter of Jean Green. Jean Green was my dad's first cousin. Showing different things around the island.
Okay, that's not your dad, is it?
Yeah, that's Dad and Uncle Bill, I believe. I'd have to get
Must
closer.
be the Arizona temple then, huh?
Yeah, that must be back in Arizona. See, that's Bishop Dean's grandpa. Hey, now, I'm pretty sure that's who that was. I wish we could focus in on it better, because it seems like that we may have stopped and saw one of Dad's other cousins. So that might be another relative of my dad's, but one that I'm really not familiar with, because it doesn't really look that much like Uncle Bill.
Mm-hmm.
This is some of the cactus beauty down there.
Yeah, however you wanna- Get a better look at these guys.
Must have been a hot day. Those cactus are kind of laying down because of the heat. It looks like. Maybe that's typical of them, though. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I saw somebody water skiing on this one. But that's not down at the family reunion, is it?
That probably would have been the family reunion. Yeah, if there's, yeah, that
It's
would have
not a
been.
very big body of water to water
No,
ski on.
no, it isn't, but they did. That is, I can tell right now. That's. And I saw a little clip of my little car. It was my second car.
It's back here.
It was backed up. Oh, you can back up?
Yeah.
It's that one right there.
Oh, yeah?
It was green. It was 1 year old. It was a. It was, what year was it? I think it was a 61 Valiant.
Oh,
And I paid cash for it. And I was in high school.
really?
And I bought all my high school clothes.
Wow, that's good.
And who that is, can you tell?
Mm-hmm.
That might be Paul and one of his girls. Yeah, they used to ski on there. Now, this is my brother Jay Dean, and he's at the old cement factory. You go past it on your way from Brigham City to Tremonton, and he was in shape and had been winning and placing high in the competitions he was in. What do you think of him there?
I bet you'd do pretty good.
He always won best posing and most muscular legs. Now there's Shane, his son, posing with his hero, his dad. And after that we played in the water a little bit. They used to have a basketball hoop and everybody would play water basketball. Looks like that's Jay coming out of the dressing room there.